Hello everyone, this is Tushar. I got All India rank 113 in my first attempt in the Civil Services examination 2017. I had graduated from IIT Hyderabad in 2016, and after having worked for around 3 months, I came back home for UPSC preparation. My preparation had started in October of 2016, so I had around 9 months before I gave my prelims exam. So for all the students who are preparing for UPSC and who plan to prepare for UPSC, I want to say that it is very much possible to clear this examination in the first attempt, provided you go about it rightly. You know, everybody has their own unique strategy. When I was myself starting out, my biggest wish was कि somebody tells me कि you read this from this source and इतना time लगाओ इसमें, and so that you actually have somebody to guide you. But you know, each and every person who has cleared this examination this year has a unique strategy. This year, or rather every year, has a unique strategy. So the best way to go about this is that read as many strategies of toppers as possible, and then make your own common minimum program. You know, have faith in this program and make your own timetable, what sources to read and where to read from, how much time you want to spend in that. So this is very important because this is where your organization starts. And before you actually commence this journey of UPSC, the most important thing is understand that why you want to do civil services, what is your motivation for being a civil servant. Because when you have a defined purpose, then you need no motivation, because you yourself become a motivation for yourself, your purpose becomes a motivation for you. So personally speaking, in the beginning I had also began this for the fame and the glory and all the powers that come attached with being a civil servant. But gradually, as I studied more, I realized that the amount of change that we could bring in the lives of the normal citizens, primarily the underprivileged, is enormous, and that was awe-inspiring, and I think that is what kept me going during my lows. Don't run after a lot of motivational videos. Like every day you're looking at 2-3 people and maybe reading some topper interviews and then trying to change your strategy accordingly. Don't do that. Have your common minimum program, have your definite purpose, and just stick to it, because this is what is the first step in smart work. You know, the thing about this examination and why some people are able to clear it in the first attempt is exactly this. A guidance is very, very important, and secondly, your smart work, right? What happens is, let me tell you why guidance is important, because normally it usually takes 2 to 3 attempts to just understand what mistakes you're making. But at the same time, if you have somebody who is guiding you correctly and not misguiding you, guiding you correctly, then you actually learn from their mistakes. And you don't commit them in your first attempt, and you're able to overcome most of the hurdles that way. So I will begin this by saying, for all the students who are just beginning preparation for UPSC, first of all, be clear in your mind why you want to do UPSC. Secondly, the most important thing is download the syllabus. The syllabus of the official syllabus by UPSC is a very intelligently designed document. They have not randomly picked topics from various different places and put them all together in one document. That is not true. Just print it out and read each and every term, each and every statement which is given in that course, because it will make a lot of things clear as to what UPSC is expecting from a civil servant, from an aspirant. What is it that they want to test? Be very, very clear with the syllabus, because syllabus will take you a long way. Then thirdly, make your own common minimum program. Read as many strategies as you can. I had personally read around I think 50 to 100 strategies ke beech mein was my number, and I had decided what books I will read and what all sources I will not read, because even understanding what not to read is very important. Then after this, I would say start reading the newspapers and have your laptop or your smartphone internet ready with you, so that you can actually Google whatever you feel you have less information on. Because UPSC is all about getting a lot of peripheral information. UPSC is about width and not depth. Cover as many topics as you can, and the depth should be enough that you're able to write answers. Right, after that, you can start studying polity and economy because it will help you understand the newspapers better. Also, understand one thing, that don't get emotional with the subjects, with any subject. Like I have seen some people who are very fond of international relations, so they come to me and they say, Tushar, what do you think will happen agar kal Pakistan India pe attack kar dega, China yahan se aayega, then Russia maybe, I don't know kya position lenge, then US. You see, all of this is good as a pastime hobby, but it is not at all relevant to your UPSC preparation. Wasting time in such things, getting emotional with the subject, trying to do a PhD in it doesn't serve any purpose. Your complete preparation should be result oriented. Before studying anything, you should ask yourself, will this help me get marks or not? Because you see, when there is limited time, so you have to maximize your ROI, and that is how it will go. And also another very good line which I had read was that reading less is scoring more. It doesn't mean that you don't study. It means that you study from limited sources and study it again and again. Let me give you an example for say if we talk about modern history. I had read Spectrum and I had revised it at least 10-15 times. Now had I also done NCRTs and then went on to Bipin Chandra and then maybe some other book as well, all it would have done was given me a lot of diverse knowledge, but in the end I would not have been able to recall anything in the examination and wouldn't have been able to write answers in mains or solve questions in prelims. So this is a very cliched dialogue which is there, that read a subject from, don't read a subject from 10 different sources, instead read it from one place and read it 10 times. This holds true. Right? This is a very important concept which you need to understand, that this is how you will clear the examination. So coming on to prelims, when I had started reading my books, my first doubt was, how should I read the books? Should I make the notes, shuru ke andar mein notes banana shuru kar दूं, or do I even need to make notes? So in the end, after reading 4 to 5 subjects, what I had realized was, the first reading should be, you should just go through the whole book. After that, you should go for the previous year questions, because that will make you understand what UPSC is expecting from you and what are the areas that they prioritize. So your preparation should not be a linear preparation. It should be a preparation which is focused on the areas where UPSC itself is focused. For example, again, if we talk about modern history, after 1940s, with the Cripps mission and the cabinet mission, they are asking a lot of questions, and since there is so much information here, it gets all muddled up. So what I had done was, I had a separate sheet where I had all of these prepared, and so I used to revise them. Even on the day I was sitting for the prelims, this is exactly what I was revising, because you know that UPSC is asking questions from here, and directly one question you can get right this way. If I give you another example, say when we talk about Lakshmikant reading polity, there is a big chapter on emergency provisions, but that chapter can be very easily condensed into one page. Just read previous year questions on polity, read the test series and all which you have. So what that will do is, it will ensure that you are able to pick the important areas. So once you have a single page on all 3 types of different emergencies, you have all the information in one single place, and that will ensure that you do not miss out on any important information while revising the book directly, and you're able to even mark the questions absolutely correctly. Right? And there was another very big anxiety which I used to have was, this Lakshmikant is such a fat book, or say Spectrum has so much details, how will I remember it all? So the answer for that is extensive revisions and smart notes. As you revise more and more, these things start to register in your head, and you need lesser revisions, and even your revision time goes down progressively as you make more revisions. Right, again the next question which used to come to my mind was, okay fine, so first reading is I read the book, then second step is I go to the previous year questions, and the third step is I read the book again, and I make all the important notes which I think are important from UPSC point of view. But then the question again comes at how to make notes. See, in notes, I think you should always follow the rule of 1/10. If you have a 1,000-word article, your notes should not in any way cross 100 words. Because your aim is not to simply write that article down in your own notebook. Your aim is to just take out the keywords from that so that those things get registered in your head. So that if a day comes when, say, UPSC asks you a question in the mains examination on that topic, you're able to write it down. So that is your aim. So get the keywords out. That is your main goal. Also, I had used Evernote very extensively in my note making, which I think I will explain a little later. And there are some other sources which are very good. For example, we have Rajya Sabha TV and All India Radio online broadcasts. You know, what happens is when you're reading a lot of theoretical knowledge, even if you don't understand a lot, you tend to just learn it up. But when you hear experts discussing about that topic, say in Rajya Sabha TV or All India Radio online debates, what happens is that audio-visual format gets registered in your head very quickly, and you can recall that even at a much later point of time very easily. I never made any notes from RS TV or AIR broadcasts, but that talk used to get registered in my head if that understanding is what builds up. Then I will not talk about the standard books which you should be reading for various different subjects, because you will very easily find it online. And anyways, you should also make your own common minimum program, read as many topper strategies as you can. So my strategy should not be the final strategy, it should be one of the strategies which you read and make your own program out of. Right. Then another very important question which comes out during prelims preparation is that how many questions should I attempt in the main exam. See, irrespective of how much ever you study, sitting in that examination, you will not know more than 25 to 30 questions with 100% certainty in which you have a knowledge about all the options. In rest of the questions, what happens is you are able to eliminate, say, one option or two options, and then you go and mark the answer which you think is correct. So that is what I think I call intelligent elimination. So if you see, after 30 questions, you are playing on probabilities. So the more questions you attempt, I think your marks go higher. But again, this is not true for everybody. You should find your own optimum. Say in one test you are solving 80 questions. Then try solving 5 more questions and see क्या marks बढ़ रहे हैं कि कम हो रहे हैं. Then go for another 5 questions, see marks बढ़ रहे हैं कि कम हो रहे हैं. Over time you will be able to know कि what is your own optimum. For some people it may be 85, some people it may be 85 to 90. For me, my optimum used to be 95 plus. So in my exam, I had went and attempted 97 questions, out of which I think I got 70 around correct and 27 wrong. So my net marks came out to be 122.66, which was, I think, which comfortably sailed me above the cutoff as well. And I've also heard this another approach that I will attempt 60 questions and I will focus on accuracy. I think if there is a question in which you don't know some options, just by spending extra time on those questions, suddenly those options will not come to you. But of course, that's my personal opinion. I feel that you should go for as many attempts as possible where you find your optimum, right? And also for prelims, I would like to talk about current affairs. For current affairs, again, one of the current affairs booklets is a very, very important thing. What happens with newspaper reading is that newspaper reading helps you build a perspective on issues, and it also helps you understand a chronology of events of how it goes. But the information in the newspapers are too scattered. So what happens in the current affairs magazines is that they compile all that information into one place and they present it in a very clear, concise way which you can very easily learn. So, for current affairs, I would say do go for a magazine, and because that becomes your final source of preparation of current affairs. And you should read current affairs for 12 months before that examination. Say, अगर जून में prelims है तो 12 महीने पहले चले जाओ previous June of current affairs, previous June से current affairs पढ़ने. Say if you have mains in December, so पिछले December से start कर दो. So from June to December that portion goes, you don't revise it again, but it does help because even in this time, I think in the General Studies 3 paper, we had a question on PPP on the airports. And I think that was mentioned in one of the current affairs editions of, I think, August or September. So I had read it at that time and I was able to recall that and write it in the exam, which definitely helps you boost your score as well. Usually the booklets and all are around 80 to 90 pages long. It used to take me around 1 hour to cover 10 pages, so I used to cover it in around 9 to 10 hours. The point I'm saying this is because what a lot of people do is they go after कि मैं आज 2 पेज पढ़ूंगा या 3 पेज पढ़ूंगा, so by the end of the month they're able to cover those 90 pages. But I think that is not the right way of doing it because then consolidation of knowledge doesn't happen. Rather, you should have 1 or 2 days in which you pick up that booklet and you start it and you end it. That is the right way of, at least that is the way I followed for current affairs booklets. Also, if you talk about other miscellaneous sources from where you should add into your current affairs, one is the PRS legislative research. And in magazines, Yojana magazine is a very good one. Again, I would suggest that complete that booklet in one sitting and make notes out of Yojana. Don't simply underline in that book because on the day before that examination, you will not be able to open Yojanas and revise them. But if you have notes, you can very easily revise all of them, say in 2 hours, 3 hours for the last 12 months Yojana. Similarly, Kurukshetra can also be referred to. I had referred to some particular topics which you feel that might not have been covered adequately in during the course of your preparation. And also, I would say that personally speaking, there is no need to go for economic and political weekly because what happens is this again takes you into a lot of depth. So you are going against that foundational rule ki width is more important than depth. Whereas you could be spending this time on some other topic which will actually fetch you marks. And also India yearbook can be referred to selectively. And another important thing in prelims is the government schemes. For government schemes you have various different booklets which come out, the compilations. Do go through them, understand what ministries are taking care of them, what ministries have originated those schemes, and what are the funding patterns and various different things like is it a CSS or a central sector scheme. So things like this are also very important, which I think you will realize once you start solving the previous year questions because they make a lot of things very clear. And some final tips for prelims would be that do not put more than 2 months exclusively for prelims. Baki time they have your answer writing practice, your essay practice, focus on your optional. Don't go into 4 or 5 months that process of getting into prelims because 2 months is more than sufficient for exclusive prelim study. Revision is the key point to your result, and so I would say revise 8 to 9 times because then only you can go and recall in that examination. Thirdly, when you're sitting in that exam, don't get flustered because every year something new happens in the paper. The most important thing is being calm, and whatever is difficult for you, understand that it is difficult for other people also. So everybody is facing the same thing. So be calm, be confident and attempt those questions. And finally, also I would like to mention that in the test series which I had solved, all the questions which I had gotten wrong, I used to note them down on an A4 sheet and I think I had around 20-25 sheets by the end of around 50 tests which I had given. So revising these 50 sheets took me around 2 hours. I was able to revise all the things which I had done wrong in the last in the past 2 months very easily. So consolidation of your notes is very important. Give as many tests as you can because the more the number of tests you give, the more prepared you become to answer those questions in which you have relatively less knowledge. Now concluding prelims, most of you will be seeing this video after you have given your prelims examination. So the next question comes that what should I do after prelims? Should I take a break? If I take a break, for how many days that break should be? Is the break necessary at all? I would say that you have studied a lot of pressure is put on students when they are giving prelims examination. enjoy 3-4 days, calculate your marks, and if you're in the range of plus minus 4, even if you're in the range of plus minus 4 of the cutoff, start your preparation. Because what happens is, after 1.5 months when the result comes, and if you're a borderline case and you did not prepare, out of your 4 months which you have for the preparation of mains, 1.5 month gets completely wasted, and believe me, it counts. Each and every second counts when you're preparing. So if you feel that you're a borderline case, plus minus 4 marks, because in every year there are some questions जिसमें doubts होते हैं. So till the time final UPSC key doesn't come out, you never know whether you've made through or not. In case they're right about the cutoff. Start your preparation and don't hesitate. After 4 to 5 days, take a break and then start your preparation. The most important thing in the beginning of preparation for mains is making a very clear timetable. A timetable is very important. For prelims, like I used to know after 17 days, say at 5:30, what I'm going to do. I knew that because I had made a plan for that. Similarly, for mains is a little more subjective. You can't go that highly objective into timetable making, but you should have a very general idea as to when you are going to give test series, what tests are you going to give, and essay practice is very important. And similarly, have a very clear timetable planned out, because in the end, organization is what helps you get the results. It is not blind hard work, because what blind hard work does is it spreads your effort into a very diffused wave. Rather, you need to keep it very focused, and it should always be result oriented. So have a very clear plan. Again, talking about the sources for the mains examination, they are pretty standard, and again you have to make your own program for that. I will also be posting a link to what I had done below in the description, I guess. But I would specifically like to talk about ethics, because ethics requires a very different approach from other general studies subject. Ethics is one subject in which your personality comes out, because in the other subjects you have a very fixed way of writing, but in ethics your personality can come out. And I've also heard a lot of people say that you don't require any preparation for ethics, and you simply have to go and write. Let me tell you, this cannot be further than the truth. So kuch nahi hai, you need a lot of preparation for ethics also, but ethics preparation is relatively very simple, and once you do it, it becomes very rewarding as well. Ethics may, I would say, first of all, download and print the course, and then each and every term you need to understand what it means. Read on that, understand that, and then make very, very simple one-line definitions for each and every term, because this is what will reflect your own personality in your answers. For the values for the civil servants, have all the terms ready. Whatever new terms you're reading, compile all of them into one place so that you're able to recall those terms when you have to write the answers, and prepare examples for each of them. For example, let us say if we take objectivity, you should have an example, 2 examples prepared for objectivity from your personal experience. In case you don't have a personal experience which could talk about objectivity, make up a small story, make up a realistic story, but have those examples ready, because ethics ka paper, the most difficult thing to do in ethics is time management. So the more you think, the less you write. It is as simple as that. So if you're sitting there and thinking about examples, you're bound to miss out on a case study or one of the more theoretical questions. So be very, very careful in that. Then also we have this portion in ethics syllabus where we talk about the great administrators and the leaders. For that, I would say that always have some unconventional name ready. Prepare, say 2 for each of them, and have unconventional names, because then if a question is asked on this topic, the examiner knows that you are actually prepared. It is not something from the top of your mind which you are able to pull out and then make up a story around it. Because when you have names, say from different countries, like I had prepared Dag Hammarskjöld, who was the UN General Secretary. So when I read about him, I felt that he was a very big inspirational figure. So I had this term. So in one of the test series, when I had talked about him in the answer, I got very good marks, because then the examiner who's checking your answer actually knows that you have prepared for this. specifically. Then the most important thing in ethics is writing answers. No amount of reading will help you till the time you are able to pull out all the terms and fit them into your answers in a very way. It should not seem artificial. I had personally done around 100 questions on ethics, which I collected from various different sources. And writing those answers really help you to manage time, because around 6 minutes you get to write that answer in your main exam. Practice with time, it is very important. For ethics, we have the standard source lexicon. I would suggest do not read lexicon in the first go if you have absolutely no idea of the subject, because what it does is it confuses you in the end. But once you have built up that knowledge, say from different sources, maybe some coaching notes or maybe from online sources, once you have a base and then you read the lexicon, then you will be able to understand what that book is saying, and then you can actually benefit from that book. So don't go after lexicon in the first reading if you don't have any knowledge, any background about ethics, and you straight away go and read this book. I would strongly advise against it. And for case studies, I had solved Subba Rao book on ethics. It has a lot of case studies given, and you can solve them. It will give you a general idea how to solve case studies. At the end, once you're done with the theoretical portion and the case studies portion, I would suggest give at least 4 to 5 tests on ethics, because they will teach you time management. The most challenging paper is ethics, because time management becomes a very, very important thing in this. You're unable to complete the questions, and a lot of people, what they do is they start with the case studies, then go to the theoretical portions, then you have less time left there, so the quality of your answers goes down. So be very careful how you attempt the question, how you manage time, because each and every question is important. The more, if you're leaving questions, understand your rank is going down by at least 50 for every question that you leave. The most important thing for clearing mains is answering all the questions. Even if you have very less knowledge about it, write something. Leave that question for the last, but write something in it. For example, we had the decolonization of the Malay Peninsula this year. Luckily, I had prepared that specific question, but in case I didn't know that answer, what I would have done was I would have written about decolonization and the white man's burden, and what were the issues, how British and French decolonization processes were different. So give around 50 to 100 words in this section, so that you are able to pull 5, 10, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2 marks. That is more than enough, because in a question in which you don't know anything, if you are able to even score 1 or 2 marks, that is, you are actually pulling a lot. So attempt all questions. Time management is very important. Even in the beginning, when I started giving the test series, I was able to attempt around 14 questions only. But gradually, as I started to improve my writing speed, it gradually went above, and I was able to attempt all 20 questions by the time I was ready for giving the mains examination. Even in my optional paper, in the paper 1, I had finished the paper 3 minutes before the time got over. So time management is very important. And also specifically, I would like to mention about the Hindi language paper, because that was one paper I was very, very scared in, because मुझे लग रहा था कि भाई मेरा सब कुछ हो जाएगा, but I hope I don't get I don't fail in Hindi, because after 10th standard you rarely read Hindi. Even if I used to see a Hindi billboard, I was like, यार इसको छोड़ो, when the English one comes, we will see यहाँ पर क्या लिखा है. So for that, do not ignore Hindi. Put in some effort. 2 to 3 days is more than enough. See the previous year question papers. You will see that the grammar portion is pretty easy. You have the Saral Hindi standard book for that. Read the muhavre, learn them, and write 2 or 3 essays, so that you are able to understand कि मात्राएं कहाँ पर आती थी, कौन सी basic चीजें थी, and all of that is very important. And also one of the things which I had done was I had translated all of my UPSC syllabus into Hindi. So what this did was it gave me a lot of very good terms which I could fit into my essays and all. For example, for transparency, I remember it was pardarshita. So you have terms like these, so you can put them in your answers and they will fetch you extra marks, because after having put so much effort in general studies and optional and prelims, it should not be key your attempt gets wasted because of a language paper. So put in 2 to 3 days of effort. That is more than enough. Don't go overboard with this, because in the end it's a qualifying paper. If we talk about answer writing is a very important part of your preparation, because it does not matter how much knowledge you have. What matters is how well you can write it in answers. You know, a lot of people who are giving the 5th attempt or the 6th attempt definitely have at least 4 or 5 times the knowledge that I have. But what matters, I think, in the end is how well you are able to convert that knowledge into answers, because in the end you have to go and write 200 words only. So answer writing, again, I think is an art. Answer writing is as much about content as it is about your presentation. Having a clear and a good introduction, conclusion and clear demarcation in the answers are very important. For example, like I had written answers on Insight's Secure Initiative, where I had actually learned how to write answers. Now, being an engineer, we are always into objective things, mathematics and objectives. So answer writing I had developed completely after I started my preparation. So again, what matters here is how well you present it. For example, in introduction, you can start with data or a definition. Say UPSC asks you a question on disabilities. So what you do then is, in the introduction, you can simply mention that around 2.21% of our population is disabled. So this gives you around 2 lines of an introduction, which has some data which is meaningful and it is appreciated. It sends a very good first impression. Similarly, if you have a good conclusion, what happens is, before the examiner is about to mark you for that answer, he reads that conclusion, he's like, yes, this is a good conclusion, and subconsciously you tend to get some extra marks. Even a 0.5 or a 1 mark here will make a lot of difference. So for improving conclusions, you can keep noting down key terms like minimum government, maximum governance, vibrancy of the democracy, or plural and secular nature of our constitution, among others. You fit these terms into your conclusions, and it will make it much more colorful and much more appealing. Right. So all the terms after the end terms after the questions, like analyze, critically analyze, discuss, these are very important. They have different demands. Write according to what the question is, the examiner is asking you. It should not be that you are writing different facets of a topic. Say if they ask you critically analyze, which actually should have come and discuss. So be very mindful of these terms and what each and every term means, and what the question is actually demanding out of you. In the conclusion portion also, you should mention the way forward, which is the suggestions, because this does give you a lot of a positive note to your answer. You can simply just start with way ahead and underline that thing, and then give the suggestions. Of course, they are not your suggestions, they are the standard suggestions which you have read in the current affairs booklets. If you have any suggestions from your own side, I would say see if it is relevant enough to go into the answer, then only put it. Otherwise, I would say ignore it, don't put it there. Also, your conclusion should be optimistic. Do not criticize the government unnecessarily, because in the end you're given this exam to become a civil servant. So even if there is criticism, ensure that it is constructive criticism and it is not criticism just for the sake of it. With this, I think I would conclude the mains examination as well. Now moving on to the interview. Again, interview is a phase which does not have a very defined way of preparing. There are some general tips and tricks which you follow. The first is, you have your detailed application form. Till now I have been saying that there should be more width and less depth, but now it is time to go into depth. Each and every term in your DAF should be researched upon. Say if in my hobbies I have written that I play basketball, then if I play basketball, it is not acceptable if I don't know about the basketball players, about the NBA, about the Indian players playing in NBA, and what is the scene of Indian basketball. So the peripheral knowledge where basketball was originally invented and all that background information is very important, because imagine you have written your hobby as playing basketball, and the one of the members of the interview board asks you, "Okay, Asha, so Tushar, tell me, so do you watch NBA?" And if I tell him, "No sir, I don't watch NBA," it sends out a very, very wrong signal that you're trying to be someone you're not in your DAF, which I don't think is appreciated at all, and you get a lot of marks cut for that. Secondly, also focus on your home state. Home state means you need to know demographics and what is the GDP and what are the districts which are there. For example, mine was Punjab. So with Punjab, there is a certain history of the Khalistan movement, so you have to know about that as well. And then like my birthplace is Chandigarh, so I need to know about the town planning. We have a UNESCO World Heritage site there. So what are the various sites and when were they made? Who was the architect? So all of these small things you need to know, because you should not get stuck on such simple questions which you can very easily prepare in your examination and in your interview. Then thirdly, your optional subject should be prepared very well, because they definitely ask you a lot of questions from your optional. From my optional only, we had talked about, my optional was political science and international relations. So my interview had a lot of questions from IR. They had asked me about India-Nepal relations, India-Pakistan relations, India-Africa relations. From there we talked about Asia-Africa growth corridors. So they went to India-Japan relations. Then it came to India-Latin America relations. They talked about WTO, the global challenges facing the world. So optional should be thoroughly prepared, thoroughly revised rather than prepared, thoroughly revised. And don't ignore that. Also your graduation subject, if you don't have work experience, and if you have work experience, then be clear regarding your company, your job profile, and all of that stuff. Now this is one area which you can prepare. Now there are some more questions which are asked from a little personal lives of yours. For example, like there was this question that Tushar, your dad is in such a senior position in the army, so did that not motivate you to join the armed forces? Now you see, if I have a question like this and I am expected to answer it on the spot, I can never answer that question, because it requires a lot of clarity of thought, and sitting in that interview, that clarity of thought and objectivity does not come on the spot. In such questions you have to have an answer. For example, like I'll tell you what I had done here was, I had told her that, ma'am, army is not just it's not just a career choice, it's a way of life. Having been brought up in the army environment, various traits like punctuality, discipline, adaptability and good relationship building have been ingrained into us since childhood. Moreover, we have been taught that anybody who performs his duty towards his motherland with sincerity and devotion is a soldier in their own way, be it in uniform or not. For me, a khadan ka majdoor, a teacher, a social worker or a scientist are all soldiers. Rest is just a career choice. I chose civil services because I believe that it would provide me the maximum opportunities to help serve the most underprivileged in our society, and I think that is what really counts. So, if you look at this answer, giving such an answer on the spot is practically impossible. They have other questions like, so you're an engineer, why do you want to give civil services? Or like, I'm a chemical engineer, so I was also asked that how will you use your chemical engineering in civil services? So such questions should be prepared beforehand, and you should do some mirror practice with this, because how your expressions come out, whether you're making enough eye contact, and all of these things are also very important. So I think by the time you reach here, you will give mocks, various different mocks, and they will also mention a lot of shortcomings if there are any, but don't take their feedback very seriously, because you have to present your original self, not something which has been morphed or distorted by any of the mock interview reviews. Be your original self. Small issues you can very easily work upon, and just be confident, because nervousness is usually what spoils your interview. And be confident, be calm, go in with a smile and give your best. And so with the conclusion of interview, I think I'll just mention some of the mistakes which we as aspirants do. One is going after too many motivational speeches. Again, having a definite purpose will help you overcome this very easily. Be your own motivation. Don't let others be your motivation. Why should anybody else be your motivation? Be confident. Always feel that I am the best person suited to be a civil servant, because this confidence helps you a lot in the long term. And another mistake which a lot of aspirants do is not giving test series and not doing enough answer writing practice. What they say is that yeah, मेरे पास content ही नहीं होगा तो मैं लिखूंगा क्या? So you need to balance it out, where you're learning the content, you're understanding, you're making notes, and in the end you are also doing answer writing practice, because till the time you write answers you will not be able to straight away go in the paper and write very good answers. Answer writing takes a lot of practice. It is a long term process. Work on it and it definitely rewards in the end. And also some aspirants tend to spend too much time on the newspapers. I would say don't go for more than 1 hour. 1 hour is like the maximum time you should be spending on newspapers, because reading 2.5 hours of newspaper, the reason why you actually read a paper for 2.5 hours is because you are unable to filter out what is relevant for UPSC. Gradually, as you start reading the newspaper and you become more adept at it, what happens is you're able to filter out what is important and what is not important, and that takes your time down significantly. Even in the beginning, it used to take me 2.5 hours for reading the Hindu, but by the time I was about to give my exam, it had come down to 45 minutes. So 15 minutes was for reading all the newspaper and 30 minutes for editorials. So don't spend too much time on the newspapers. Current affairs booklets are essentially what is your final source. And coming away from the preparation and thinking more about the mental side of this exam, I used to feel कि यार बहुत ज़्यादा काम है. You have to sit in your room and prepare all day. There is no social life, nothing of that sort. That is when I had read this quote, and I feel it is very, very close to my heart. It said that don't be lonely, be alone, embrace solitude, it will take you great places. Understand what this means. And with this, I would like to say that work hard, stay motivated, and all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you.